Hello everyone and welcome to today's episode of Box in the Garage. I gotta fix my mustache just to make sure that it's good for today's video. Perfect. I like it. I'll rock it. Perfect. Hello everyone and welcome to today's episode of Box in the Garage. I'm your host Johnny Box, and today we are getting a start on Project Guinevere. Project Guinevere is right here behind me. It's a 1987 Ford Bronco, and we're going to be doing some stuff to that. But before we get too far into it, we got to make sure we're following the shop rules. And as always, make sure you have your alcoholic beverage of choice. Today I am sponsored by Bullet Bourbon. Kidding, wish you guys would sponsor me. Get a hold of me, Bullet Bourbon, if you get a hold of this. Anyway, make sure you have your adult beverage of choice. Settle in, because it's time for another episode of Box in the Garage. Now that we've got our drink of choice, I figured I'd take a little bit of time to explain to you guys what all I'm trying to do with Project Guinevere, because it's not a full restore, but I'm not just going to leave it as is. We're just going to kind of fix things up as they need fixed, make it look nice, something I'm proud to drive that looks clean, but, you know, we don't necessarily always follow the code here. She'll be roadworthy, might just not be OEM, but hey, if it works, and it's going to work, I can tell you that much. But we got some rust repair to do, we've got some cleaning to do, we'll eventually have some painting to do, and everything in between. Engine work, tires, rims, suspension, everything is going to get it touched. Now, it might seem like we got a lot of work to do here, but, I mean, we do. But you do not have to worry, because we're going to take it nice and slow on you. Maybe not step by step, but in the long haul, it'll seem like step by step, to the point where we call the project finished. Because, you know, every piece of artwork is unfinished or something, but you just kind of have to say stop. At this point, it is not a piece of artwork. It is a piece of canvas that needs art done to it, and we are going to be that artist. Well, I'm going to be that artist, but I'm acting like you're here with me, because you know what? You are. You absolutely are. Anyway, first things first, I'll give you a walk around. Alright, so, first things first, as you can see, it is a horrible color. It is probably the ugliest color I've ever seen on a vehicle, period. But, you know, things like that are fixable. Other things to notice about it are things that you see like this. We've got a pile of rust on this tailgate. And when it comes to Broncos, actually, that is a extremely common thing that you'll have. Again, if you're going for show quality finish, you'll need a replacement, but that'll be one of our projects, just fixing it. Other things are in here. These are the kinds of things you want to look out for. Normally warning signs. In this case, it's just the body, so it's not such a big deal. and like do your research and find out if things like this are replaceable, and if it's something that you can do or something that somebody knows how to do that you know. But that's body rust and things. On this Bronco, I like that it has the slide windows. They don't all have that. That's just a personal preference thing. And other things, when we're just kind of walking around the body, that we want to look out for are major dents. And in my case, I don't have any major dents on this. It is just a minor one here and there, a scratch here and there, a pinhole here and there. I mean, the rust is bad, but like I say, fixable. So this was the perfect buy for me because it's something that I feel confident that I can fix. When you're picking up a DIY jobber, that's the kind of thing you really want to know. If you see on the bodywork that you think you can fix it, if you have the confidence to learn and do it, then do it, especially if it's just kind of a project, kind of a toy, I'm all for people stepping out of their comfort zone and getting a little extra work done themselves. It's a little extra thing to do and get you off the screen. I mean, keep watching this video, but otherwise, you can get off that screen and get some work done. That's exactly what we're going to be doing, getting some work done to this. So, on to the next thing we look at. So in this case, I'm lucky enough to have a creeper and a concrete floor. You might have to go crawling through some dirt, especially if you're buying something very old. And if it's something that's been driven recently, might be wet, might be gross, but trust me, you want to get underneath vehicles, especially if you live in one of the rusty states, as I do here in Michigan. Anyway, things you want to go and look for are things like here on the frame. Just go through and see if you can find any holes or anything like that that has been made by rust. Now, of course, even this truck is in good shape, but there is some rust. As you can see, there's a slight difference between what we have on the frame here. That would be called surface rust on the frame. Surface rust you don't have to worry about quite as much as, say, something like up here on the fender, which would be structural rust, and that is gone through the metal completely. Surface rust, on the other hand, can be cleaned, painted over, and there are various ways that we can fix surface rust. Structural rust, there's ways to fix it, but it gets a lot more difficult. Anyway, some of the main places that you want to look for are especially very strong structural points. You want to look down the entirety of the frame. If you have a unibody vehicle, you want to look down the entirety of the strong structural stuff with that. Now, places like this up here, this is actually what holds your axle on. So you're going to want to make sure that that's in good shape on both sides. You want at the very least look at everything that holds your wheels on, basically, and holds your vehicle in one piece. Now that's the main things that you're going to want to look for. You don't even have to get very deep under there. I have a creeper, but a lot of this stuff you can see if you just stick your head underneath it. You know, you might only have to get on all fours. You might have to lay on your back. It's possible, but usually you don't even have to get that deep. Now, in my case, I do like getting that deep because we're talking about a pretty old vehicle here. And the older your vehicle gets, the more likely things have happened to it. Like rust, which is one of those things that just happens over time to most vehicles, but you want to make sure, at the very least, that the rust you've got going on with the vehicle you're looking at is something that you are either comfortable with leaving as is or something you're comfortable with fixing. If you have a big old chunk that's missing from the frame and you're not comfortable with framework, don't buy it. Wiring is another really good thing to look at. There is a lot of very old wiring on this vehicle. Of course, the vehicle is old too. What I mean to say is there's a lot of bad wiring on this vehicle. Most of it is stuff that I can fix easily. Some of it is stuff that's a little bit more complicated, and that's okay in my case because I feel comfortable working on the electronics of something that's this era. Again, if you're not comfortable working with electronics, there are some things that you are going to want to watch out for when it comes to wiring, and I've got a very good example for you. The best example of the type of wiring you want to avoid when it comes to any vehicle you're buying is something like we've got right down in here on this spot. Oop, up here. I don't know if you can quite see that. All right, stuff like this. This wiring is exposed. It has been covered with mud too. And as you can see right here, this wire, I can get it pulled out. Some of this wiring like this in general, if you're not comfortable with fixing certain things or running new wires, you don't want to deal with, period. But as you can see, some of these some of these wires are worse than others, much worse than others, such as right there. Now, as you can see, the purple one is nice, cylindrical, same size all the way through, but then we got this black and white wire, and do you see that big bulge right there? That big bulge is a clear indicator of what we call green wire. Now, why do they call it green wire? Green wire is named that because of what happens when copper oxidizes. When copper oxidizes, I'm sure you've seen pictures at least of the Statue of Liberty, and if you have heard anything, you know that it is made out of copper. And copper is normally what color? That's right, copper. And what happens to it when it gets oxidized, like the Statue of Liberty? It turns green, so we call it green wire. When it oxidizes, it also, in this case, expanded out this wire a little bit to the point where it bulged out the insulation. That is a clear sign that there is some green wire around this vehicle. Again, for the type of project I'm doing, I'm not super worried about it in small cases because most of the wiring is pretty good on this, and I don't mind changing out a little bit of wiring here and there. But if you start seeing things like that everywhere, might be something you want to stay away from. Now is a good time as any to show you that checking out vehicles, sometimes you get dirty. If you're planning on working on something, you better get used to getting dirty. And it starts right from purchase of the vehicle. From thinking about purchasing a vehicle, you are going to get dirty. And if you don't like getting dirty, you probably also shouldn't go out and buy a vehicle like the one that's sitting behind me. But you see the potential. You can feel it, and you find a connection with the vehicle. might be all it takes. Now, you also need to do your research. Be vehicle specific. Be all kinds of specific. Look at other YouTube videos. Look at everything. You want to know that what you're getting is going to be able to be fixed by your means. Otherwise, you probably shouldn't buy it. All right, so yes, we do have a lot of work to get done to this Bronco. Yes, much of it is going to be difficult, but if you stick with me through this series, I think you'll find that you might learn a thing or two. We'll have some fun along the way. Get a couple laughs out, and you know, it's just gonna turn out to be a fun project. Like I say, there are lots of things that you need to look out for when you're looking at vehicles, and the most important thing is to have knowledge about the vehicle that you're looking for. I'm going to post another video this week of something short and quick, and that's pretty much it for today's video. You know, we got ourselves a nice little walk around, and we have an idea of some of the things that we need to be looking out for while we're working on this and while you're looking at vehicles. But I'll just leave you with this. Don't be afraid to have a vehicle that you like. Having a vehicle that you like is always, just makes you feel good. It really does. And I hope that you all are still feeling well and ready to get back to work soon. And hey, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, smash that like button. If you want to see some more and you want to see this project unfold, hit that subscribe button, notification bell, and you're going to be in for a long treat of me getting things done with this and watching it transform into a very, well, at least a fairly good looking vehicle, I hope. Anyway, this has been Box in a Garage. I will see you all next week.